And see, Brian, he didn't exactly set out to become some master gardener.
Right.
He kind of fell into it. And get this, his plant of choice. Let's just say it wasn't your typical backyard tomatoes or cucumbers. Brian decided to grow Brussels sprouts.
Rossi Bites.
Hey there, in today's video I want to take a quick look at NotebookLM from Google. NotebookLM, I believe, has been around since June or July of 2023, but they have a new feature that I've seen a couple examples of and I want to try it out for myself. And it basically takes your data that you put into NotebookLM and creates a podcast of it with two hosts. So you can see here, the first thing you're going to want to do is create a notebook. So we'll go ahead and click Create. And I'm given the option to upload sources, so I can do things like drag and drop files, PDFs, text, etc. I can link to things on my Google Drive. I can link to a website, or I can also go ahead and paste in some text. So I'm going to do the text option here, but I don't currently have text to paste in here. So I'm going to hop over to ChatGPT, of course, and I'm going to give it a prompt. Now, this prompt is based on a true, real struggle that I have been faced with this spring and summer. And that is trying to grow Brussels sprouts for the first time, but dealing with an annoying aphid infestation. So I'm asking ChatGPT to essentially write me a story based on that topic. So we'll go ahead and let ChatGPT start to write the story out here. And once the story is completed, we'll go ahead and copy that text. Okay, so the story is done. So we'll go ahead and just copy this text and come over into the notebook, and we'll go ahead and paste in all of that text. Just click Insert. And you'll see fairly quickly that NotebookLM was able to generate a summary of my text. It's also giving me suggested questions. I can also come down like ChatGPT and have a chat conversation with my data. I can also do things like generating an FAQ, generating a table of contents. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'll create a table of contents, maybe a briefing doc. So let those three things generate. You'll see that they're generating now. We have some FAQs here. This is the briefing note, the reluctant gardener and the aphid apocalypse. And if we look at the table of contents here, we can see the spark of inspiration and early success, the arrival of uninvited guests, the battle begins, a gardener's resolve. But what I want to try out here is I want to actually generate the podcast using the deep dive conversation. So I'm going to go ahead and click Generate. This does take several minutes to complete, but once it's completed, we'll take a quick listen to how it sounds. So after about 5 minutes, it looks like it's generated. So let's go ahead and take a listen.
Ever start something new? Like a project around the house. Or maybe take up a new hobby. Start with one simple goal in mind and then, boom, you find yourself on a whole different path than you expected.
I've definitely been there. Sometimes those unexpected detours lead to the most amazing destinations.
Totally. And that's kind of what we're diving into today. We've got these excerpts from a piece called Pasted Text. Just a regular guy's account of his, well, gardening adventures.
That's because it's named
Brian.
Pasted Text over
And see,
here.
Brian, he didn't exactly set out to become some master gardener.
Right.
He kind of fell into it. And get this, his plant of choice. Let's just say it wasn't your typical backyard tomatoes or cucumbers. Brian decided to grow Brussels sprouts.
Interesting choice. Not exactly known for being the easiest or the most glamorous thing to grow.
True.
Exactly. And honestly, that's what I found so relatable about Brian's story, you know? He's just an average person, like venturing out into something new. And like many of us, when we start something new, he throws himself into it. He's all in, researching the best techniques for growing Brussels sprouts, carefully prepping his garden.
I can just picture him out there with his little trowel.
Oh, I bet he was even like talking to those little seedlings.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Okay, gotta admit, I've totally been there. You ever catch yourself giving those plants a little pep talk? Encouraging them to grow.
More common than you think. It's like this inherent thing in us, you know? We want to connect with nature, even in our own little backyards.
Absolutely. In the beginning, things were like picture perfect for Brian. Those sprouts were thriving. And he was feeling that gardener's high, you know, watching something you've nurtured come to life.
Of course.
But here's the thing about gardening, and maybe even life itself. things don't always go according to plan. Just when Brian's feeling like he's mastered this whole Brussels sprout thing, bam! A common enemy of every gardener decides to crash the party.
Let me guess. Caterpillars.
You got it.
Yeah.
And while those caterpillars were definitely a pain, they were almost a distraction from the real stars of this garden drama. Or should we say the antagonists of the story?
Yes, the aphids. Tiny but mighty.
Tiny is an understatement. And
This
Brian's
is
garden
crazy.
was about to get a crash course in just how much havoc these little creatures can unleash.
They're notorious for that.
So let's break down this aphid situation because, trust me, it becomes a major turning point in Brian's journey. What are these tiny terrors? And what makes them, like, public enemy #1 for gardeners?
All right, imagine this. You've put your heart and soul into these beautiful plants. You're so proud. And then these tiny, practically invisible bugs show up.
Like an army of miniature vampires.
And they multiply like crazy. Before you know it, they're everywhere, literally sucking the life out of your plants.
They don't call them sapsuckers for nothing.
No, they don't. And it weakens the plant, stunts its growth. It's a real problem.
And it wasn't just the Brussels sprouts that were feeling drained,
Mm.
right? This whole aphid invasion, it really started to wear on Brian. It's kind of like those aphids become this, like, metaphor in Brian's story, you know? Those unexpected curveballs life throws our way. You're cruising along, and then, wham, something comes out of nowhere to test you.
Right, like a little microcosm of life's challenges right there in his garden.
Totally. And what I find so interesting is how Brian's initial
Yeah, let's
reaction to
jump
those
towards the
aphids,
end and see how it
it's
ends.
kind of how a lot of us react
here.
when things are. And it's kind of inspiring, you know, the fact that Brian still ends up with something he can harvest. He could have given up, but instead he chooses to adapt.
Exactly. It's a powerful reminder that resilience, it isn't about avoiding the hard stuff, but about how we navigate those challenges, what we learn along the way.
About embracing the messiness of it all, aphids and all. So as you go about your day-to-day, maybe think about those metaphorical aphids you might be facing, those little obstacles or setbacks that seem to be holding you back. What would it look like to approach them with that same spirit that Brian discovered in his garden, that mix of curiosity, acceptance, and just a willingness to roll with the punches? You never know. You might surprise yourself with what you discover.
It speaks for itself. That's pretty amazing. So as you were able to see with this quick review, being able to upload data for a particular topic that you want to do some research on, or that you're writing something about, or that you want to market to somebody, and being able to quickly interact with that data, and the new capability with the deep dive conversation, the fact that you can condense that down into an audio podcast using AI and have it be a way that you can either listen to your content on the go and or share and market it with other people is pretty amazing. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks and have a great day.